Good evening, one and all, and welcome to yet another evening of sim racing. And welcome to round 13 of the GPVWC Formula Challenge. This evening we're at Monza, a 92-year-old classic track, which has seen many variations and forms over the years, from a 10-kilometre racing circuit and oval to the 5.7-kilometre speed circuit that we know and love today. Skinny wings and slipstreaming is going to be the order of the day, but with tricky weather in play, anything could happen as we now think towards the end of the season and our championship contenders need to score those points and get them in the bank. We have to keep an eye on that old bumpy surface which could throw up anything in your way. I'm Matthew Chuggy Churgwin for the very first time, and joining me in the commentary booth is Mr. Philip Morby. Say hello, sir.
Evening all. Yeah, set to be another fantastic evening. We've currently got a slightly wet track, but it is drying at the moment.
It is indeed, and we have two 13-lap races on what has been a very, very hot track during warm-up and practice and the week in general. But the rain has been and visited the track many times over the week, and it just did as our drivers and teams made their way out to qualify for this evening's racing. We've seen some very quick times indeed from a couple of our protagonists, and with such speed and such straights, and obviously everyone running very skinny wings, Phil, how do you think this race is going to play out? Is it going to be a slipstream fest?
I think we're seeing a few teams attempt the slipstreaming during qualifying, which we're currently in with 11 minutes to go. I think you have to. It is something you have to consider, given the speed you can gain on. Effectively, there's about 4 straights on this track.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I was just keeping an eye on our current 4th place man, Polaris, he's just made a mistake going into the first Lesmo. You've got to make sure that your car is set up nicely for this track. It's not your average circuit. It's very quick. You're going to be running very minimal wing, but you've got to make sure that you've got all your suspension and tyre pressures and whatnot working in harmony to make sure you've got that grip. And unfortunately, Polaris just a slight mistake going to Lesmo 1, ran wide into the gravel, and that's going to be this lap scrap for sure. But anyway,
I doubt we're going to see anybody doing a Vettel this evening and going for the high downforce setup. I just don't think it's worth the risk this evening.
Absolutely, and we did see in Formula 1 in the days of the F-Duct, what on earth is Polaris doing? It's going all over the place. Now lost his front wing. We have seen interesting variations on setup. We saw some teams back in the older F-Duct introductory days where they would run high downforce and have that stalling effect, but actually, potentially, and I think this happened last year, losing your wings actually could be an advantage here, although you do have to get them replaced. So we'll have to keep an eye out for anyone losing their wings and if they suddenly go very quickly indeed. Anyway, as mentioned, we're in qualifying. We're with 9 and a bit minutes here to go, and our top 10 is as follows. We have Petter Burlak currently leading the way. He's followed by his teammate Petter Duvier. Roy Vasily, he's always been a president. He's in P4 now as Lewis McGlade's gone a great lap there in the Aurora car. He's up into P2. Then we have Thomas Fadler. He's currently in P5. He is followed by Eric Strawn. He had a good run last time out. We'll get to that in our mid-race break. And then currently P7 we have Thomas Grench, Sandeep Choda, he's currently lying P8, and then in P9 we have Davidus Polaris as, who's that who just set a nice quick time? Timu Toika in the Velocity Racing Machine, he's currently P7. So lots of movement at this early stage, and everyone just trying to get those banker lap times in. If any weather appears, you definitely don't want to be caught out by that. And also let's bear in mind,
anybody at the moment do any slipstreaming. No teams are going out together, having a quick look up and down the field. Although I think Duvala will be getting a nice slipstream here of Thomas Fadler at the moment on the back straight towards Parabolica.
Yes, indeed. Just keeping an eye on our track map here, seeing who's close together. There may be an element of teamwork, perhaps even across teams, to try and eke out all the time. But I was just about to mention, we're now in Park A. As soon as the cars go out to grid, they are locked well and truly to whatever setup they've got. They can change their front wing, they can change their tyre pressures, but that's just about it. Of course, if we do all of a sudden get a massive downpour and our races are wet, we could have, well, all sorts of drivers having some real issues trying to overcome those adverse conditions. So it's going to be fascinating to see how the weather plays out, and it's really going to be the factor here, as it was last time out at Spa, in potentially livening things up in new and unexpected ways.
Even the track is, our track guide says it's 8 corners long. We debate whether one of them is a corner, so we called it 7. There's a very small difference in times at the moment. I mean, front to back at the moment, we're looking at, admittedly about 5 seconds, but I mean, the top 10 are currently 7 tenths apart.
Yep, very close indeed. And it really does emphasise, actually, you've got to make sure as a driver you get your technique absolutely spot on. We've got some very long straights here. You've got to make sure that you get absolutely perfect exits from every single corner. And Phil, would you agree it's perhaps a nice idea to potentially go on board with one of our drivers and see how they take this course?
I think it would. I'm just currently seeing anybody going around the last corner at the moment to give us that opportunity, but I can't actually find anybody, although Rory Vasili is currently going on the back straight towards Parabolica, so hopefully we'll get them on board with him.
Excellent stuff. So, Phil, take it away.
Okay, so we're coming around to what is the final corner, Curve Parabolica. A very renowned corner, sadly now tarmacked runoff for Formula 1 when it's there in a fortnight. So we need a decent exit along here because it's all... Oh, he's pitting. Oh, that's the...
You want to know something? I think this is the second time we've called someone out. Anyway, just trying...
Cameraman's calling out people. Okay, so we're going to follow Ben Horrell, who's currently going around final corner, hoping he's going to stay on the lap for me. Otherwise, this will be the third person. Oh, this is brilliant. Alright, I think we're going to hold until we see somebody go along the straight.
I think that's probably a good idea. Yep.
Okay, we're going for one now. Ah, yes! Essa Duvallard, currently in P3, is going across the start-finish line at the moment. So, one of the longest straights, a very long run towards turn 1, which is Betafidio. Right-left, very difficult, very tight. It's going to be very exciting down there at the start of our race. He's not too bad, he's gone a bit too deep for turn 2, but he's managed to get round it okay. And then we have what counts as turn 2, Curva Grande, a very long sweeping right-hander. Again, in Formula 1 we've seen some wonderful moves around here of Fernando Alonso and Sebastian Vettel. Keep it along the right-hand side because you're going to need to stay right for the Roger, the left-right of turn, 3 and 4 technically, I suppose. Again, very fast, heavy braking down to this low gear. And then we have the first of the two Lesmos. The first one is kind of a latish apex, just there as we go back onto the straight, give it some more power, and then we're into the second Lesmo, which is usually down a couple of gears, but only one apex, which is quite nice to hit. And then you're on the back straight. This technically is a corner coming up here, according to our track guide, but as you can see, it's flat out and not really worth worrying about. You need to, under the two bridges, you need to stay right, and you'll be braking probably just after the bridge here, as we get down to Ascari, a wonderful sweeping left, right, left. You'll see the cars sometimes run wide at this final bit. As he run a bit, oh, he's nearly a little bit wide. And then we're on the back straight, we're getting some slipstreaming, possibly. No, I think Gretsch is a little bit too far ahead for him. And again, as we come to the final corner, our wonderful Parabolica, down a few gears, but it's key to get that really good exit and not go too wide on the way out.
Tamara over there, he's got a really good exit. He's gained a little bit on Gretsch, just a smidgen, but perhaps not for a stream. As he goes across the line, does he improve? He does, just by a few hundredths. So that is a lap of Monza. And I must admit, he's really got this car working on the brakes. He was braking incredibly late compared to some of the others out there. So evidently he's definitely thinking about getting some moves done in the braking zones here today. We'll just quickly run through our top 10 as it currently stands with 4.5 minutes to go. Currently still sitting P1 by 3/10 of a second is Petter Burlak. He's followed at the moment by Lewis McGlade with that cracking lap. He is then followed just by 0.08 of a second now by Petter Duvier. P4 is Roy Verzilli in the Zedric Racing Machine. He's followed by Dovidas Polaris. Tom Padla is then in P6. Terence Gretsch starting P7 as things stand. He's followed by Eric Strahan. David Yunt, one of our championship protagonists, he's currently sitting P9. And then we have Timu Toika rounding out the top 10. So a very interesting and very mixed, actually, set of drivers. We have our protagonists in there, of course, but Lewis McGlade, what a great effort that 35.5 was, putting him pretty nicely and sat very comfortably, I'd say, in that P2 spot. Unless someone really gets a slipstream on him, I don't think anyone could really challenge that.
He's currently just gone through Rogier towards the two Lesmos. Yeah, he's done a really good job there of splitting the two Walk Racing guys. Will be interesting to see if Duvallard tries to get a slipstream off his teammate. They're currently at quite opposite ends of the track at the moment, though, so that won't be happening. In fact, Duvallard's going into the pit, so it'll probably be a quick set of new tyres and out again.
Absolutely, we've got 3 minutes to go, so if you want to put a few laps in, get your temperatures up, and leave everything out on this lovely Italian asphalt, now would be the time to get some fresh boots and get ready to rock and roll. Anyway, we have just a few more moments remaining. If you have anything you'd like to get in touch with us with, any comments or anything you've seen or any general discussion or questions, feel free to tweet at us. You can find us at GPVWC Live. Use the hashtag GPVWC, and we'll try and touch on any comments or questions you may have as this evening goes on. And also don't forget, we've got all sorts of racing here at the GPVWC. We've got 2 more broadcasts for you this week. We have the Super Cup tomorrow and Super League on Thursday. Sort of progression through the career ladder of Formula Style Racing. And then we have our 2 Tin Top Series, the ITC, the International Touring Cup, and the final round of the World Sports Series, also running next week from Monza. As Vasili, big moment coming out of Lesmo 2, running it well riding, almost ran into the wall, so well recovered there from Vasili. But all sorts of racing to be had here, and well, we are going to be very shortly seeing the last efforts of these drivers as they try and get themselves as high up the grid as possible for race 1.
So I'm just currently looking at the gaps. I mean, the top 10 is split by now 6 tenths, but when you consider the first to second is 3 tenths, that's just 3 tenths splitting 9 cars. It's quite amazing. I mean, the difference between second and third is currently 9 thousandths per second.
Absolutely, and I think actually let's not take credit away. Petter Burlak, he's been dominant all season, and well, as you say, he's got a 3-tenth cushion all to himself. Then the following 9 drivers have 3 tenths between all of them. So a really nice lap there. He's got that car working really well, as he has done everywhere else so far this season. So he has to be sitting pretty. I mean, last time out at Spa, we may as well mention that now as we have a moment to. He absolutely pulled everything together, and he pulled off the double header. He won race 1 and race 2, and as you'll see in race 2, that's no mean feat. There's a reverse grid in play, so evidently he's on form. He's in a purple patch, and he is going to be loving driving at the moment, thinking towards that final championship crown. Anyway, let's see who's on a lap and who has been quick previously before our official qualifying session here. I'm just riding on board. I'm currently P16 James Kirk. He was pretty high up the order in official practice earlier, just coming around Parabolica here, leaving it nice and wide, make sure he can get all the power down, staying well left. In fact, would have thought he might gain a little bit of time by squeezing up on that right hand side, but no matter, he's across the start finish, running down into turn 1. Have to keep an eye on where he brakes. Say Duvet, the walk racing car, was braking very late. I must admit, Kirk is pretty much on the same mark there. So nicely through turn 1 and 2 as he accelerates down towards Curva Grande.
I'm just seeing kind of where the main team battles at the moment. Obviously, we've got Breliak and De Villar in first and third walk racing. We've actually got Eric Strah and Hansko Mebius in 10th and 11th at the moment for Enterprise, split by just 500ths per second. Strahn's currently on a lap and getting a nice toe off Duvela, I think, for most of this bit at the moment, and Hansko isn't even on track, so that's definitely Strahn winning that team battle there.
Yeah, if Strahn's on a lap, he's going to be rubbing his hands together with joy. The time has just completed, so drivers can complete this lap if they're on one, and he's gained a whole chunk of time in that lovely slipstream, and he's going to gain it again, hanging around Parabolica quite nicely. Duvet, he's I think trying to line himself up, and Strahn goes across the line, goes quickest. Oh, that slipstream really did him some help there. Strahn, a super lap. Burlak, though, immediately responds. Didn't see if he was in a slipstream or not, but 2 tenths quicker. Oh, slipstream in effect, and we're going to be seeing plenty of that during the racing.
That was some wonderful slipstreaming there from Strahn, and we also getting ahead of whoever was in, I think it was Lewis McGlade that was originally in second?
Yes, indeed. He's yep, got Toyka. He's on a lap. He's currently P6, so he's moved up a bit. He was P10 a little while ago. He's crossed the line. He stays there. Still great qualifying for Team P6.
Trying to see where David Yunt was. He was struggling a little bit in qualifying. He's just coming around the final corner. No, he's given up that lap, so he starts 11th.
And then we have Gretsch, who's next on the road. He's just coming out of Ascari, running it nice and wide. We've got this long straight here. Plenty of opportunity to get yourself lined up for an overtaking move down into Parabolica here. Is he nice and late on the brakes? Yes, he is. He's got the car together nicely. Nicely into the apex on the power nice and early. Let the car run out nice and wide. He isn't using that little bit of rumble strip as some drivers have. He's staying all the way to the left. As he goes across the start-finish line, he doesn't improve. He stays P12.
He was only 500 slower, actually, than his fastest lap there. It wasn't too far off improving.
Absolutely. Anyway, as our drivers are completing their final laps, I don't think we have anyone else who's currently on a lap. Have a few drivers, I think they're just returning back to base.
We have 5th to 10th, split by less than a tenth of a second as well, showing you how tight it really is down there.
Absolutely. It's going to be fascinating as as the race pans out. As I think it's safe to say everyone is now pitting in. So with that said, we have our qualifying all done and dusted here. So on pole position we have Petter Burlak. He's following with a great lap and some good slipstreaming by Eric Strahan. Peter Duvlay in the second walk car, he will be starting P3. Lewis McGlade, great lap, he will start P4. Roy Verzilli will start P5. He's followed by Timu Toika, Thomas Fadler, Sandeep Choda, Joa Tuinainen in the THR. That's a good effort right there. He's followed by Dovidus Polaris and David Yunt in the second THR. Then starting P12, we will have Terence Gretsch. He's followed by Hansko Mebius. Bruno Sosa Ferreira in the first of the place seat cars will be starting P14. And then P15 will have Rasmus Salo.
That was a very good qualifying session we managed to catch up on there. We've now got a 5-minute break for warm-up before we get our first race of the evening underway. It gives guys a chance to see what their car's like now with heavy fuel loads. Weather at the moment is currently dry, which is good for them. All those that have risked their wet setup, I don't think there was anybody, but they'll be regretting it at the moment.
Absolutely. So we've just got our drivers making their way out to do some practice laps, get used to their cars with full fuel, as you're saying. And these cars, so light and, well, so nimble, a little bit of added weight really can make a huge difference to the car setup. And with no wings, no downforce to assist, it's going to be, oh goodness gracious me, as someone's, whoa, I think that was Tuinainen. A slight issue there, as Rasmus Salo was practicing at start and Tuinainen got it all wrong and he's wrecked his car. But slight drama on the warm-up there anyway. But no, as I was saying, with very little wings, you won't be getting the grip as you perhaps normally would at other circuits. So you've got to make sure you've got your suspension all sorted to accommodate all that extra weight. That's going to be fascinating to see who's been doing their homework, figuring out where they need to put their ballast and whatnot to ensure that they've got a well-handling car in the race.
That wasn't quite Tuinainen's fault, actually. He's made a start, and it's somebody going past him as he tries to move out, Van der Wood, and then he managed to go round whoever was making an actual start there. But it was just a badly timed practice start, I'm afraid.
Oh dear, bit of drama, but that is the point of warm-up. You'd rather have your dramas now than have them in the race, I'm sure. And thankfully everyone can obviously go back to the pits, get themselves repaired, and get ready for the race. So cameraman extraordinaire is asking about, well, what if we do want drama alarms? Well, I'm sure we could have some weather to spice that up. I certainly hope so. I'm certainly doing my rain dance. I hope you all are too. Not that I don't want to punish the drivers, but, you know, a little bit of weather always makes things interesting. But anyway.
That was proved in qualifying in the F1 at the weekend.
Was indeed. Just the occasional biblical hailstone can really shake things up. Anyway, with 3 minutes to go, obviously we've seen a lot of drivers and a lot of great qualifying laps. Phil, who do you fancy for the win in race 1?
Oh, well, as Roy Verzilli's #1 fan, I obviously have to always make a shout out for him. I feel that's a constant now in our universe, shouting out for him. Obviously, Strahan had a really good lap there, being able to get the slipstream, and he's quite... I'm just trying to remember how far he is in the leaderboard at the moment. Wonder you've got those numbers for me.
Let's see here. I only have the top 10.
I have Strahan, so Strahan's down in 7th place. So... You know, he's 192 points off the lead, so he doesn't really have anything to lose. Obviously, we've been talking about how these points are key for our drivers at the top, but Strahan can go into that first corner knowing that he hasn't got a championship to, that he's really fighting for at the moment. He can just have a go, dive it down the inside, and say, right, I'm here. What are you going to do?
Absolutely, and also let's remember he missed a good chunk of the start of the season, so he's actually done incredibly well to get to the place in the table. That he is in, and well, last time out he had 2 second places to back that up, so he had a great run in Spa alongside Burlak. But that was a great lap there from Strahan. Just timing it right. Obviously, being a racing driver, it's all about speed. You've got to make sure that you've got the best car and you drive it to the best of your ability. But that also comes down to the tactics of these things. And Strahan, he was right place, right time, and he made sure he capitalised.
So now would probably be a good time to talk about how Spa went in terms of penalties before we start our next race, I believe.
Yep.
Okay, so a couple of warnings for Richard Coxon for avoidable contact and Adam Oscar for post-race conduct. And then we've got a 10-place grid penalty, I'm afraid, for Ben Hackerson for during qualifying in Spa. He escaped on circuit and returned to track. And then just a couple of time penalties added to Sam Jones and Peter Duvelaar, 10 seconds each, and a 5 second for David Yunt in race 2 for avoidable contact.
Not not too many dramas to being reported and whatnot then. Anyway, so hopefully, well, no grid penalties as far as I can recall what you just said, so that's
just
all
for
good.
Hackerson.
Just for Hackerson. Well, there you are. So that aside, I think everyone will be starting as we saw them, and it should be fascinating to see as we enter our final moments here of our warm-up before race 1. I'm going to, obviously, so Petter Burlak, I think, is going to be a force unto himself. If he can do, if you will, the proverbial Sebastian Vettel, get the car off the line and just control the race from the front, as he has done most of the races he has done so far this year. I'm sure he's going to be winning race 1, but I want to keep an eye on Strawn. He's been driving incredibly well, as we were just talking about, and I fancy him moving up the order for sure.
And then we wait a few seconds before we hear our man to tell us to lead the grid. We all kind of keep our eyes in the skies, really, to see what the weather's going to do, which is rather exciting.
Yep, eyes in the skies, I like that very much. As a few drivers are actually playing for rain, so you never know. A little bit of spice to liven up our day. Anyway, warm-up is now completing. Drivers are now finishing their final laps, and we'll have our grid forming momentarily. There's just a few drivers just practicing their final start. I think that was Van der Wood. He was reporting he was having issues with the launch control system on the car, so he might be starting from the back. We'll have to see what happens there, and he will be starting from the back. Thank you, cameraman extraordinaire, for that. Of course, all of our cars here, because there are so many of them, everyone has to use launch control to make sure everyone gets away from the line nice and cleanly. And he was obviously having a few issues, made people aware, and that will mean hopefully we won't have a drama off the start.
Yes, for a turn 1, very tight right-left, I would question, sadly, whether that's going to happen.
We'll have to see.
A runoff.
We'll have to see, and yes, indeed, there is a runoff, but also we have seen moments, for example, in Formula 1, where you get that sort of almost pinball effect, where you have one driver lose under braking and shakes out the whole lot.
Non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
As our Factor Man rings in the new day, and the track being dry, and by the looks of it, it's relatively sunny. As it is 27 degrees on ambient, but it's overcast, so it's going to be interesting. And as our grid is now forming up, with just a few moments here to go, we'll get to talking through the grid as we have it formed, and we will look forward to our first race this evening.
So you asked me who my money's on. Who's your money on?
Strawn! I think Strawn's going to move forward. I don't know if he'll be able to win, but Burlak, or in the form that Burlak's been in, but we'll have to see what happens down into turn 1. Anyway, our grid is formed, and we now have the beginning of our formation lap. So, starting on pole position is Petter Burlak. He is followed by Eric Strawn. In fact, he might very well move up. Anyway, he's followed by Peter Dumoulin in the second Warp Racing car. Following him is Lewis McDade, the first of the Aurora Motorsports cars. They are followed by Phil's favourite Roy Verzilli in the Zedric Racing Machine. He's starting P5. Starting in P6 will be Timu Toyka in the Velocity Racing car, and actually Timu's gone well in some races, so keep an eye on him. Then we have both Team Proline cars in the top 10. We have Thomas Fadler and Sandeep Choda starting P7 and 8, respectively. Then we have Juha Tuunainen in the THR. He'll be starting P9. He's followed by Dovides Polaris in the Bastwick Grand Prix car, and he is followed by David Yunt in the second of the THR cars. He is followed by Terence Gretsch in the Katana Motorsports car, and then we have starting P13, Hansko Mebius. Then we have the first place heat cars, Bruno Sosa Ferreira. He will be starting P14. Then starting P15 for Smile Power Racing will be Rasmus Sala.
So going in P16, we've got the first of the Cosmo order, followed by his teammate Ben Horrell in 17th. James Kirk for Bastwick takes P18, and rounding out our top 20 is Mike Schroten and Ben Warren, both for Racing Team Schroten. 21st, we have James Johnson for Tanskin Racing, Eric Tesk, I'm hoping it's Tesk. 22nd for Viking Racing, Mark Wicks, 23rd for Katana Motorsports, Tobias Olsen, Tanskin again for 24th place, and Tommy Ojala, Smile Power 25th. We've then got the two YTF1 cars of Adam Osger and Rob Mason in 26th, 27th, Andres Pesdov, Cedric Racing in 28th, Thomas Hinds, our favourite Australian, 29th place for Playseat Racing, and Ollie Woods, 30th for Velocity Racing.
Then we have starting P31 is the only Mr. Simon Smith. He's in the first backmaker Marco Brigade cars. He's followed by his teammate Marco Vandenbreck, the second of those Marco Brigade machines. They are then followed by Sam Jones in the second Aurora Motorsports car, and rounding out the grid following his disclosure of some slight issues with his launch control will be Alexander van der Wood, as we've got all sorts of smoke and all sorts on the back straight, but everyone's kept it together. One thing I will mention though, just before we pull away on our start, here's James Johnson. He's been doing well in the championship standings. He's currently 4th, all the way back down in P21. He's going to be, I'm sure, up for a good race here and move through the grid, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, everyone is forming up.
What I like
race
here is
start momentarily.
We've got 2 backmark brigades, that neither of them on the back row.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Anyway, everyone is now formed up. We now wait for the lights. Well, everyone is not quite lined up. My eyes are deceiving, but everyone is now just about lined up, and we'll have our lights on momentarily. So, for the first race of the round 13 of the GPV Formula Challenge from Monza, we have 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and we are go! Petter Burlak's got a good start, and Strawn has got a decent one as well, but Duvier's got a really nice drag, and he's now getting a nice slipstream off his teammate. Will he be able to make a move on Strawn into turn 1? Not by the looks of it. Burlak leads comfortably into turn 1. Strawn's up the inside as we've got contact in the back. We've got a few cars taking to the escape road. By the looks of it though, everyone is pretty much getting round there. We'll have to see if there's any big dramas further down the field.
Mebius off near the back there, back on circuit, okay, no rear wings or front wings flying up.
Good to see everyone's made it through just about a very tricky turn 1, and we've got all sorts of action. We've got 2 and 9 to make a move on Polaris down into the first of the chicane, or the second of the chicanes for P8 and P9, as we've got a play seat round in the background. Sousa Ferreira having a moment there. He's now keeping an eye. Oh, 2 and 9 and late on the brakes into Lesmo 1. He's now got P8 from Polaris. He's now had to tuck in, and Rasmus Salo was also looking pretty feisty going through Lesmo 1 there as well. I did see also a moment for the current P12 man David Yuntz and the exit of the second chicane there.
I think we've missed Thomas Hinz having a problem as well, because he's right near the back now, sadly. But the top 3 all close vicinity of each other still.
Absolutely, and this is going to be interesting as we run out of Ascari for the first time of our 13 laps here. We've got Strani's well and truly in slipstream range. Who's got the gearing right? Who's going to be able to take advantage? Strani's having a look. He's just making Petter have to think about looking in his mirrors, but Strani's not fancying it this time around. He's got through Parabolica quite nicely there. Petter's really going to have to think about if he's going to defend or not. Strawn is already gaining. We haven't even got to the start-finish line yet. Is he going to pull left? He's pulled left indeed. He's on the racing line. So who's going to be latest on the brakes? As Strawn is ahead. He's now taking the lead of the race. Who's going to be on the brakes latest? Oh, looks like Burlak has got the brakes just about there. Oh! Reminiscent shades of Hockenheim all over again. Burlak has lost out. He might lose out to his teammate there, thankfully. No! Big smash and loss of wings there, but Burlak just, I think, left it a little bit too late, and he's lost the lead as a result. As we now got Strawn is now under attack from Duvier, who's had a great exit. As we go down into the second chicane, Duvier leads. Lovely move, nice and controlled. Strawn's not giving up though.
Let's go to 2 Lesmos. The first one, like I said, it's a late apex. Is he going to hang it on right? No, he doesn't. But it's going to be like a nice drive out. If he can hold on to him into the second Lesmo, he could have another overtaking manoeuvre at Ascari. Obviously, Strawn says he's going to get a nice slipstream of Duvalar. It may not be enough though. It depends how they've, like I said, how they've geared these cars at the moment. He's pulled right out the slipstream already, but really still getting a nice slipstream up the hill.
Then we've now also got all this action going on for the P3. Toika, wow, lovely move into Ascari around the outside of McGlade. Toika up to P4. He's on the march, although McGlade, he's got a much better exit, I would say, from Ascari, so I have to keep an eye on that as we now have Fadler in the Team Proline car. He's moving up into 5th place now. He's got the slipstream 3 wide as we move down into turn 8 there. Duvillard still leads though. Strawn now down into P3. Oh, we got contact. Fadler has lost it. That's a real pity. I got a great exit from Ascari there, but oh well, what a pity. He'll have to bounce back in race 2. We got 2 races for that exact reason. Salo now takes the lead, or takes 7th place from Yunt.
So these walk racing guys need to be very careful here. They're kind of trying to orchestrate the race such that they get a 1-2, but obviously Strawn is really the kind of cat among the pigeons tonight. He's really taking it to them.
Absolutely, and we don't want another Lacombe situation. We all know what happened there. Anyway, no indeed from cameraman extraordinaire, but Strawn, look at that great exit he's got from Curva Grande. He's having a look. Is he going to be late on the brakes to try and force the issue? No, he's been wise. Oh, Jovier!
He's locked up.
Oh! He's going to have to give that one back as Burlak's gone wide to try and cover, and Strawn leads. Whoa! What a lovely little bit of driving there. Right place, right time, and he's well and truly taken advantage. I can't believe that Duvillard's going to be able to keep that. He pretty much cut the first part of that chicane there. But
the only good thing is that was his teammate, so whether the race director will allow that and let them just get on with it.
We'll have to see, but
that recently.
yeah, yeah, indeed. That's all. It's all go right up at the front. So we've got 3 cars all nose to tail. Then we have a 1.7 second gap now. Back, it's McGlade. He's got ahead of Toyka again.
Toyka's lost out on the braking. Oh, he spun right round. That's put Virgil round as well. I think he could have spun there. He's going to be close to. Oh, that's very unlucky. He's down to 17th, 18th. Oh, he's gone right back. Toyka just lost the rear of it under braking, and Virgil kind of lost it trying to stop hitting.
Burlak now takes second place from his teammate. Looks like perhaps a little bit of tactical braking, trying to spook Strawn, but also hand over the place. A good bit of team driving. Burlak, a great exit from Parabolica. Strawn, he's going onto the racing line to make his intentions clear as they cross the start-finish. Burlak is literally nose ahead. They are so close. Now Burlak, he's going to go on that inside line. It's tight, it's close. Will he get it done this time? Yes, he does.
He's going to have a poor exit though from here.
He is indeed, and we've got a long run down to this second chicane. This is the joy of Monza. Lots of high speed into slow speed, lots of overtaking opportunity. And these 3 continue to fight as the gap now opens up to 1.8 to McGlade in 4th place. So this is going to be the one to watch. Strawn, look at him now. He's got right on the gearbox as we go down into Reggio. And no, Burlak is saying, no, I'm not letting you go through there. Locks up on the brakes and still makes the corner. Great driving from these 3. And we're only on lap 4 of 13.
We've got 5th, 6th and 7th fighting each other. 2 and 9 and getting past Terence Gresh and Rasmus Solo trying to get a bit of contact at the back there. Gresh is off.
So we're here that James Kirk has just spun. We're not quite sure where he is on the grid, but he's gone round Salo. And Salo there, he was a bit squeezed into the wall at Lesmo 1. Well, 2 into 1 don't go.
Looks like, yeah.
So here James Johnson is off. He's down into P30. So all go, and he's lost his front wing, so that's going to have to be a recovery back to the pits. And if that car's damaged, get that repaired. So Ben Ron, he's going to take P30 off him there. Thank you very much indeed. So drama up and down the field as we now have to have a look at our leaders once again. It's still Strawn, but having to watch over his shoulder as Duvalier, he's now into second place. Are they taking turns now, these Warp Racing guys, in attacking Strawn? Who can break down this Enterprise driver? Here comes Duvalier. He's got a great slipstream as they come down over the start finish past the pit exit. Who's going to be latest on the brakes this time round? Oh, I think it's Duvalier just. Will he make the corner? Yes, he does. He's going to get a poor exit though. Can Strawn repeat it again?
Polaris trying to go down the outside of Horrell as well. That's Polaris gets up to 8th there, and he's now on the back of this small-powered THR fight.
Yeah, I was just about to mention actually THR, great movement off start to the race here. They're both up well inside the top 10. The good stuff there for the THR boys as Johnson pits in to get his damage repaired. And yeah, we've got quite the train of cars behind. We've got Horrell in that Cosmo car. He's got his mirrors full of Terence Gretsch, the Katana Motorsports car. As
Mason's lost the front wing. Mason's lost the front wing, as has James Kirk. There was a spin in front of Kirk, and I think he spun into it and sadly took off his front wing as well. So he's down in 22nd and really going to be struggling.
Duvalier leads. He's got, or he continues to lead, I should say, as Strawn. He's having a little look down into Scari. I don't think there's going to be much opportunity there. Burlak, he's having a look as well. This is nose to tail action as we have a little bit of oversteer from Duvalier and Strawn. They keep it all together as they exit through Ascari down onto this long straight as we head down towards Parabolica one more time. Duvalier has been nice and clear. He's going in that right-hand side. Strawn's in the middle of a walk sandwich. Who is this going to work? Whoa! Strawn on the brakes goes. Thank you very much. Banana peels himself up into first place. Lovely stuff on the brakes from these 3.
Yeah, it's kind of like Strawn had a really good exit there actually as well, but obviously the slipstream, they just reel him back in each time, and it's going to be who dares to be first in the second to the last lap, kind of going around Parabolica. There's Reliax having a look to see what those 2 are going to do ahead of him. Duvalier around the outside now, and Strawn. It's all over the place. It
is, as they're swapping rounds. As we've got now 2 and 9, and he's up to P5. He's got Yunt right behind him as they are fighting over P6, 7 and 8. Yunt, I think, has just been a little caught out there by a little bit of loss of momentum as everyone, of course, bunches together for that first chicane, and Salo's been able to get a little bit of breathing room as Yunt now has to defend that P8 from Polaris in the Bastovic car. And more Polaris, lovely move on the brakes. Has he got it done? Yes, he has. Lovely stuff. Polaris up to P8, lovely overtaking move there into Roger as they go through Lesmos 1 and 2. We'll have to see how that one develops because we've got a very clear grouping. We've got our first 3, then we've got Lewis McLean who's having a lovely run. He's actually gained 2/10 on this lap on our leaders. And then we've got a 4-second gap back to 2 and 9 and this lovely battle which is developing. So all sorts to keep an eye on here.
McGlade can have a really nice race here. He's not being attacked by anybody. He's just keep doing his own race. He'll let those top 3 fight at the front and maybe try and pick a few of them off near the end as we're on lap 6 of 13.
Indeed, we've got Strawn now. He's under attack from Burlack again. But honestly, Strawn, he's got that car geared almost to perfection. Just Burlack cannot get close to him whatsoever. Duvlar holds the lead though through Parabolica. We have to see, can Strawn get a good exit and really challenge down into turn 1? Oh, they're all nose to tail, and oh, this is going to be interesting. Will Duvlar allow his teammate to get by? There's plenty of tarmac there, 3 wide. We don't have a walk racing sandwich this time around, but look at Strawn. He's got the racing line. Will he be latest on the brakes? Yes, he is. Just the brakes working really nicely on that Enterprise car. And a little bit of a love nudge from Burlack there. Oh, my
5,
nose
6,
is
and
here.
7. All fighting each other, 5th, 6th, all over the place. Oh, Ben Horrell kind of forcing the matter as tries to get around Polaris. Polaris is spinning. Oh, he managed to catch it, but he's going to lose 3 or 4 places there.
Horrell is really harrying the back of Sarlo and that Smile Power car as he's all over the back of 2 and 9, and it's all go.
Rodiak's taking the lead through the second chicane after Curve Grande. Strawn now down to second, but again, we're going to the 2 Lesmos.
Whoa, 3 wide as they're going into the second chicane there. Everyone's sensibly going, nope, that's not going to work. So everyone's pulled back out as 2 and 9, and he's actually almost being pushed along by that Smile Power car as they go down into Lesmo 1.
Oh, Polaris has lost his front wing now. He's spun and got hit by somebody, and Schroeter got spun as well. I see that second chicane.
Drama. McGlade continues to close ever so slightly. He's going to be loving this. He's just going to see all that going on and know that there's a wonderful fight behind him, so he's going to be sitting pretty indeed. As Burlack leads, going through Ascari, you've got Strawn just behind him, and is that Duvlar just dropping off a little bit, perhaps? Just a slight mistake? Who knows? But still only a 10th, well within slipstream range. As Strawn, here he comes, down into Parabolica, cars alongside. He's good on the brakes, and job just about done. He leads just about as we go for Parabolica, but look at Burlack. Look at Burlack. He's got a great exit on that slightly tighter line. They're going to be head and head as they go across the start finish. That gap was just 0.02 of a second over the start finish line. But look at Strawn. He's evidently just got a little bit less wing or a bit better gearing, and he's just edging ahead. And they're on the brakes. Burlack is very late. Oh, he's going to force the issue over the anti-cut. No way through there. They're side by side. And here comes Duvlar. He's gone, oh, I'll have a piece of this action, thank you very much, as they run towards Curva Grande.
So he's now going to get a slipstream off both those guys. He's looking pretty good at the moment. Is he going to try and take his teammate as well? No, he's going to back off a little bit there.
It's almost a little bit of a bump draft as there goes Strawn nice and late on the brakes, but Burlack's got the line covered, and I think that one's all done and dusted as they will run through Lesmo. No real opportunity to get any overtaking done through there unless there's a mistake from the driver ahead. But in all that, McGlade, another 10 gained on these guys, so if they keep scrapping, he might come into contention here. So I have to keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, Ben Horrell, he's now got ahead of 2 and 9, and he's in P6. He's now got Rasmus Salo, who's got ahead of all of them as we go through Lesmo too. So we've got a good scrap still continuing here. And then we've got a a bit of a gap back to Gretsch, who is currently running P8. But I have to go back again. Goodness, this fight just does not stop. To our leading trio. We got Burlack, who's now having to be hyper defensive from Strawn as they run down to Parabolica.
Oh, and Duvlar's now going to get a nice slipstream. Again, he's having to back off early because these two guys are fighting each other so close and actually so fairly. There's no real elbows happening at the moment. As we get around the last corner, Duvlar's got a nice exit. He's really going to be hoping that Burlack gives him the slipstream, which he is, and it means that Strawn can't get it at the moment. This could be a change.
This could be curtains as well, because there's going to be nowhere to go. A little bit of a bump draft. There's not much you can do. We have to see who's going to be sensible on the brakes. They all are, which is good to see. Everyone gets themselves nicely into the first chicane. And look at how close now McGlade is. He's only 1.2 behind across the start finish. So that's a good gain of a good few tenths there. Look at Strawn. He's got that car absolutely on his little finger. Got that front end turning really nicely through Curva Grande. No way through though. Burlack's got the line covered. I think the toolbox of overtakes is starting to empty a bit here. So we'll have to see if anyone can cover and cover the lines. But Burlack continues to lead on lap 9 of 13.
So I'm just seeing who's got the last points position at the moment, which is Tommy Ojala. And he's a second and a bit ahead of racing team Schroeter, Mike Schroeter. So he's got a bit of a gap. And he's currently hunting down my guy in 14th, Roy Vasili.
Ben Horrell's up to P5. He's got ahead of Sarlo, so he's now might have the opportunity to try and run off into the sunset with that one. Meanwhile, David Yunt, he's gone back down to P10. and he's currently fighting with Timu Toika over 9th. But goodness, just returning to our leading trio, it looks like Strawn, he must have made a slight error. Burlak's now got a half-second gap, and Burlak is well and truly ahead of the rest at the moment. We've got Strawn, and a little touch from Duvilar. Light touch, just enough to potentially cause a little bit of concern there to Strawn, but he's taken that in his stride as he's run out of Parabolica really nicely there. But look at Duvilar, he's got a really good exit as they run across the start-finish to start lap 10 of 13. There's only a few more laps to do it. As McGlade, he's dropped a bit back off the leader as Burlak does the fastest lap of the race. Now he doesn't have to worry about defending. There's Duvilar, he's got the car up the inside, but Strawn's got the car on the inside for the next corner, and that is a position just about held off. So Burlak leads, he's got a bit of a gap, and he's quickly built that up to a second. Look at the distance he's built. That is the literal visualization of what defending can do to you compared to your ultimate pace.
Lewis McGlade now about 7/10 off Duvilar, so where Briliac has managed to run away from this, Strawn and Duvilar are still fighting each other and giving McGlade a chance of getting onto the podium here.
Absolutely, we'll have to keep an eye. He's been just focusing on his own drive, and he's going to finish well here if he can keep it all together. Just a few more laps remaining as he runs through Lesmo 2 nicely into the apex, runs the car right up onto that curb using all the available track as they run through what is arguably a corner, as they now run down under the old banking, under the old oval, and up the slight incline towards Ascari for the 10th time. Nicely on the brakes. We're going to have to keep an eye though, because Duvilar very close, in fact ahead. He's that close, he's got ahead of Strawn, so that's another switch round. So, question will be, can he break that gap, or will Strawn come back at him? He's coming right back at him. He's going to have that move.
Round. He's gone down, lost quite a few places, 5 or 6 there I think.
Unfortunate down in the Ascari. Yeah, down in the Ascari. We saw that moment earlier from Toika, but Toika's been able to recover to a degree, and he's come back to P9, so it's good stuff. But Yuntz, he's now up to P8. In fact, I'm just keeping an eye on 2 and 9, and in P7, he's right up with Sarlo and Horrell. So we're going to have perhaps 3 cars fighting for 5th, 6th, and 7th before long.
Actually finally have it. That's a massive jump over the curves, but he managed to keep it on the track. And again, Strawn's going to have a nice exit round the outside of Curva Grande. Is he going to be pushed wide? No, he's going wide himself and hoping to tuck back underneath, I reckon.
I think so. He's got the exit. I don't think he's going to be enough or close enough to get anything done on the brakes unless he pulls something really magnificent out of his magician's hat. No, not this time around. So perhaps it might be a big pressure off as Duvilar might just start to focus on absolutely hitting his apexes and getting well and truly underway. Strawn, though, he's harrying, he's still close behind, and let's not forget about McGlade. He's still within slipstreaming almost distance now, so this is going to be fascinating to watch this one develop. Burlak, though, has got a comfortable gap of 1.6 seconds to second place. He's been really able to stretch his legs. Now he's had to, not have to defend all the time. Sarlo's back up to 5th. Horrell is now under attack from 2 and 9 in the THR for 6th and 7th.
Seeing what's happening is our 15th place. It's now currently held by Mike Schroten. Hansko maybe just under a second behind him and not got anybody fighting at the moment, so still some points possible for Hansko.
Indeed, we're just coming around to complete lap 11. We've got a few lap cars ahead of our leaders, so that could add some spice, who knows. Strani's got a nice move there done into Parabolica, although Duvilar, he's coming straight back at him. And I think the real beneficiary of all this is going to be McGlade, because he's going to see that they're still fighting. The gap now between McGlade and these two are only 1.1 seconds. So it's going to be fascinating to see how this one pans out. Oh, Strawn, they're equal on the brakes, but Duvilar's on the outside.
Oh, there's a touch there, but Briliac missed the chicane there. I wonder if we gained anything from that.
Oh, I have to keep an eye on that one. So we'll just have cameraman extraordinary. He's going to have a quick look at the replay, and that might be something of contention, especially if Strawn finishes ahead of his teammate. So it's all drama. We've got a few laps remaining here, and we've still got some... we've been told he's lost some time, so I doubt that much will happen from that. Ooh, interesting fight now for P5 and P6 to another right on the gearbox. He's not having a look, though, into the second chicane. Ooh, perhaps a little
Ben Horrell right behind him, though.
And he's got Horrell and his teammate right behind. Ooh, 2 and 9, he's a little airy off that curb there out of the second chicane as they run down into Lesmo 1. He's holding it all together, though. A really nice line there from 2 and 9 and through Lesmo 1 as they now run into Lesmo 2. Everyone spotting the apex. Big old bump, which you feel in these Formula cars right there, which can really unsettle you, but all these guys taking it in their stride. Sarlo, he's got a bit of a gap, though. Just a few tenths at this point, and here comes Horrell. Horrell's got a great exit from Lesmo 2. Can he get it done on the brakes into Ascari? Whoa, not quite. Not quite this time round, but he's going to have a good exit here, I'm sure, from the end of Ascari and perhaps a move down into the Parabolica. Meanwhile, our leaders, we still have Burlack gap up to 2 seconds now, and we have Duvalar ahead, and McGlade is closer ever still. That gap now 0.8 of a second. So
Only got 1 lap to do it now, though.
indeed, it's going to be a grandstand finish as Strawn. Look at that. That is the power of the slipstream, and this is what Monza gives us. Such fantastic overtaking and racing as Strawn takes second place on the slipstream. The question will be who's going to be best on the brakes as the tyres are getting old and the cars are coming unloaded with fuel. Looks like Duvalar has got that one just about done round the outside. Lovely stuff. Who can get the cut back though? No one. So it remains as we were approaching the start-finish line on lap 11, as we are now on our final lap of the race with Burlack leading, but he's had to work for this one.
Horrell in 2 and 9 and 6th and 7th still fighting each other, and Junt's going to try and get involved and get a few extra points for himself.
Absolutely, why not? Why not? As McGlady's really caught up. Unfortunately, I think if there are a few more laps and this fight were to continue between Strawn and Duvalar, he would be right in amongst it, but I think he might just be unfortunately out of time, as Burlack is now coming up to this lap traffic as we go through Lesmo 2. It's Rob Mason who's just ahead, and probably actually might not play a factor as we run down towards Ascari for the final time here in race 1. We'll have to keep an eye on though. We've got plenty of fights up and down the field. We've got a real train for P5. Salo heading that at the moment. He's currently fighting Horrell and Tuinainen. In fact, Horrell is really fighting Tuinainen and Junt as we turn down here into Ascari for the final time. All holding station though, as they were. But anyway, we still have a fight for P2 and for the lead, but we still have a fight for P2 and P3, sorry, but the lead I think is well and truly sorted at this point. Petter Burlack, an absolute star drive, and a star drive from all 3 drivers. Petter Burlack wins race 1 this evening after a wonderful fight. Duvier, his teammate, comes home in third, just a 10th, in fact less than a 10th of a second. From Extron, they were still racing across the line. And Lewis McGade, he's come home a very well-deserved P4. Rasmus Salo, he holds on for P5 as Horrell, Tuinainen, Junt and Toika follow in with Sandeep Choda rounding out our top 10. We're just waiting for our final 5 points finishers. For goodness gracious, I'm out of breath.
So we got Mark Wicks there in 11th, Rich Coxon 12th, Tommy Ajala in 13th, and then we had a very close battle for 14th, 15th and 16th, which was Roy Vasili, Mike Schroeder, and I'm afraid Hans Gamibius just outside the points in 16th place. Sam Jones finishing 17th, 18th Thomas Hinds, Andres Pestov finishing 19th, and I think there was a swap right at the end there between 20th and 21st, Thomas Olsen and Ben Warren.
So all go. Goodness me, I was hoping for rain because that might liven things up. I don't think we even needed it. Rain, go away, we don't want you. Gosh. Wow, we've seen Burlack. He is literally just driven off into the sunset in most races.
No! Van der Wood, who started at the back of the grid, actually ran out because of fuel.
Oh! So it is a fast track. You will be chumping up that fuel, but I was just about to say, Burlack, he's had it fairly straightforward most of the round so far. He's been able to just think about his own drive and get it done and dusted, but Strawn and Duvalet, what sterling drives from those 3 stars of the season, I think it's fair to say, so far. And goodness gracious, what a great race.
We also missed Rob Mason at the end there. He went over the second chicane and sadly went straight into the barrier. It looks like he may have got damaged, and then sadly spun it, and yeah, suspension damage gave up for him.
Oh, that's a real pity. But goodness me, such great racing there. Fair, fast, edge of your seat stuff, and wow, just amazing stuff to try and keep on top of from a commentary point of view. I'm sure you guys will have enjoyed that. Oh dear. Anyway, this is not the first race of the evening, though. However, we of course do have the Open Series, which is for new prospective drivers to Formula Challenge, be it for the end of this year or potentially next year, catch a team boss's eye, perhaps. And Phil, I believe you may have the results available.
I do indeed. So qualifying, we had Timu Valkijavi in. Right, sorry about that. There's a few technical issues. So qualifying, we had Timu Valkijavi on pole with Yaden Wright in second and Hakan Adka in third. During the race, it got cloudier during it, but I didn't see it rain during our 13 laps. And we had Timu from pole, ran away, lights the flag, getting a win. Yaden Wright also staying in second place. Sadly, Hakan Adka seemed to have a really bad start in third. He went all the way down to 14th. Brought it back to 10th, but it was Bacalo who actually got the final spot on the podium, so well done to him.
Good stuff from our Open Series drivers. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, all sorts of racing to be had. If you're at all interested, head on over to gpvwc.com and you can sign up there. Anyway, so yes, that was race 1. So many things to think about. I normally try and take notes as the race goes, things which are happening. I haven't had a chance to do that. There was so much going on.
It was just constant slipstreaming, left, right, and centre. And that's all that mattered. It was the slipstreaming that made it really important.
Absolutely, and it was fantastic because everyone gave each other room and space, and it really was a treat to watch indeed. So we have to see what the second race gives us. Of course, this is now reverse grid. Anyone from P15 to 20 could find themselves on that reverse pole position. And in fact, actually, a few things to shout out. We had some great drives from those at the back. We had Van der Woodon, who unfortunately ran out of fuel just at the end there. We also had Thomas Hinz, who had a moment early on in the race. He drove back to finish 18th, so a good drive there for the place seat driver, who's standing in this evening for Tim Straub. So good stuff from our favourite Aussie there, Hinsey. Anyway, and in fact, actually, as I say that, yes, our pole position man has just been picked as P18, Mr. Thomas Hinz, so he starts on pole for our second race. So that evening's going from good to even better. So good stuff there. And, well, it's going to be a fascinating prospect. We saw how hard and how fast our leaders were fighting last time around, and now we've got potentially a few slower cars ahead of them. It's going to be a real slobber knocker, I think, for race 2.
We're hoping for a dry race now, are we? Or are we still hoping for a bit of rain?
Consider the rain dance undone. Oh, my goodness.
we should admit at this point, we may be slightly biased towards Thomas Hinz, having raced with him during Le Mans. Cameraman extraordinaire just shouted, "I'm not," down my headphones. But I think we would hope to give him to do well. He's kind of taking up the seat rather well. As he said, he went from 30th to 18th in that race. There's a slightly different kettle of fish when you're at the front of the grid, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes.
Absolutely, and we saw actually it's going to be a very different experience leading away. We saw Petter, he had that really good start, but he was under constant pressure, was Petter. From Strana and his teammate, and how they were all able to survive and get home in one piece. I'm still taken aback. I want more of the same, please. Thank you very much, guys. More of that, please. Goodness. Oh, dear.
Well, while we've got this 2 minutes and 45 seconds to talk about, sadly, I don't think there's actually anything on Twitter. What do you make of this track? Is it one of your favourite tracks in the calendar for F1?
It's an interesting beast. It's one of those which is one of those classic races, and unfortunately, it marks the end of our, if you will, European season here in the Open Series, in the career ladder, as we now will start doing our flyaway races again. But it's just one of those wonderful tracks which you just don't find anywhere else. I think I'm right in saying that the actual closest finish in Formula One was actually held here back in the 50s. It was something like 5/10 covering the top 6 drivers. And it's always just given racing, incredibly quick racing. It's perhaps not the most technical track in the world. There are certainly more challenging corners, I'm sure, around on things like Eau Rouge in Spa or things like that. It's an interesting challenge. It's a very different beast. It's all about speed and consistency, and well, we saw how consistent some drivers were there, and well, they were well rewarded with some good points finishes.
It was. I mean, like I said, it brought up some extraordinary racing. Whether I'm a fan of this track, I would probably say no. It's obviously very different to a lot of F1 tracks. It is the low downfall circuit. It is the one that Red Bull always turns up to and says we're never going to do very well, and then usually somehow do very well. I would miss it though if it wasn't on the calendar. I think Monza is Monza. Foci kind of make what this kind of excellent track is. But it's not my most exciting one on the calendar. Obviously, the racing tonight's been brilliant.
Absolutely. And there's just some wonderful. I mean, so if you in preparation for tonight, I read up a bit about the history of the track and things, and you don't realise that there are 8 iterations of this race course and different varieties. They used to run on the oval and the course broadly as we have it today. The corners used to be a lot more open and fast, if you can believe it, and the chicanes weren't there, and it was a very different beast when they first started racing on it in the 1920s, and I think it's kept its character really well And well, as you've seen tonight, it can provide some superb racing, and it does in real life as well, both open wheel as well as tin top and endurance. So Monza, one in my heart. Perhaps not my favourite. If I had to pick a single favourite, that would be Spa. But no, Monza, great track, and when driven well, everyone has a good race, and well, we were treated to one there. Anyway, warm up is now completing. We'll have our reverse grid lining up any time now. Who will be your ones to watch, Phil?
So interestingly, Paul McKenna, who was in the Open Series race, looks like he's going to be taking part in this race with JRT. So he's been right at the back of the grid. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. Our cameraman extraordinaire is saying we need some tarmac at the final corner. Parabolica for the F1 in a week has been tarmacked over, which is a real shame. As much as I don't particularly fond of this track, that last corner was real skill and bravery to kind of pull it round.
It was indeed. My one to watch, given what a sterling job he did, is Richard Coxon in the Cosmo Cup. Beg your pardon, sorry, it's his teammate for this evening.
I think we're going to have to kind of hold our predictions here, because we've just checked the weather, and it is absolutely pouring it down.
It is indeed. The rain dance that I did before the session, unfortunately, seems to have had effect. It's currently just about on that transition point between slicks and wets. So this is going to be fascinating. We've got drivers who potentially are running with dry setups on a wet track, potentially with dry tyres. Oh, it's going to be interesting.
I'm just having a quick look. Who's daring to take those wets? Both the Cosmo guys are looking at it. Sandeep in 9th.
Our top six are all on dries as the formation lap is starting, so we have to keep an eye on it. And it's getting heavier all the time. Goodness, right, so this is going to be a corker, I'm sure. Anyway, starting P1 in the Placey Racing car is Thomas Hinds. Following him in P2 is the Aurora Motorsports car of Sam Jones. He's followed by Hansko Mebius in the Enterprise GP car. And he is then followed by Mark Schroten, who'll be starting in P4. Roy Verzilli, Phil's favourite, he'll be starting in P5. He's having already to contend with spray off the back of Schroten's car. And then we have Tommy Ojala in the Smile Power Racing car starting P6. We then have Richard Coxon starting in the first of the Cosmo Autosport cars. We then have Mark Wicks in the Katana Motorsports car. He's currently... he's in the pit lane. Is he going to take the start? I don't know. He's going to have to start from the pit lane. If he does get there, he might be waiting to see what the weather's doing. It's still getting wetter. But anyway, he's qualified or will be starting P8. He may be in the pit lane more than likely. Anyway, Sandeep Choda will be starting P9. He's followed by Timu Toika. Apparently we've got a spinner out there as well. Verzilli. He's dropped it. That's a sign it's a bit wet for the tyres. It's going to be interesting. Wicks is now leaving his pit garage, so he will be starting from the pit lane. We've got Timu Toika. He's starting P10 as someone else spins.
It looks like Coxon.
Oh dear, driver's going to be regretting their tyre choices now. We've got Yuntz. He's starting on wet tyres. He's followed by 2 and 9 and his THR teammate. He'll be starting P12 again. He's on dry tyres. 2 and 9. They've split the strategy. Then we've got Ben Horrell. He's going to be my one to watch this time round in the Cosmo car. He's starting P13. He's on wet tyres. Then he's followed by Rasmus Salo on the Smart Power car on dries. Then we have Lewis McGlade on wet tyres starting P15.
So Eric Strahan on the wets is 16th. Peter Duvillard 17th on dries. It is still getting wetter. Petr Bredak has gone for dries in P18. Andres Pestov also dries 19th. And we've got Tobias Olsen 20th on the wets. Ben Warren 21st on dries. Dovidas Polaris in 22nd for Bastvik. He's on wets. Simon Smith, back marker brigade on dries in 23rd. Bruno Sousa Ferreira for place seat is on wets, and then I think mostly wets. 25th, Terence Gretsch. 26th, James Kirk, Bastvik. 27th, Thomas Fadler is on wets. Ollie Woods, 28th, has gone for dries though. And then Eric Tesk in 29th, wets, and Adam Oscar in 30th, wets.
Then we have James Johnson. I suspect he might have been running a wet setup in quali. He'll be starting P31 with wet tyres. He's followed by Marco van der Brink in the back marker brigade car. He's on dry tyres starting P32. We have Alexander van der Wood night car. He's on wet tyres. He's followed by Rob Mason, P34.
So, I want to stop you there. A lot of people are pitting for wets already. So Thomas Hinds is in the pits and he's putting on wets because it is getting wetter. So I think it's Hansko.
McKenna is not starting the race. We're going to have a pit lane race. In fact, Mebius will be effectively pole position. Our first wet runner though is Richard Coxon in P7, so keep an eye on him. This is a bit mad. We're going to have a big queue in the pit lane as the lights are coming on. Hansko Mebius will be our effective pole man. Here we go. Lights out, away we go, and it's a decent start. Look at Coxon go! Look at the wet
Whoa!
tyres! He's gone, thank you very much. Here comes Schroeder. Schroeder on wet tyres, he's loving it. Look at him go. The wet tyres are the ones to be on in the race, but there goes Coxon up into P2.
And goes Lott as just Schroeton. Oh, Toika's taken out Schroeton there.
Oh, it was never going to work. Oh dear, but Joda leads on wet tyres. He is now...
Ajana's spun on dries. Yeah,
Oh.
This dries are not the tyre. It's 25% wet. It's getting wet all the time, and people are just flying by on the wet.
Several cars already going wide and losing it in Curva Grande. Our current highest dry runner is 2-9, and he's
People in
going
the
back.
pits have just moved.
So here we go. We got a group of cars coming out like stung hornets out of the pit lane. We got Johnson. Look at Johnson. He's making his way up the order. He's up into where is he? P13 from 31st.
So Hansko in 9th. He's just going backwards on dries, but his teammate is currently 7th. Eric Schroeton has spun on dries again.
Kirk.
Oh no, yeah, Schroeton is on dries and spun.
Johnson, superb move around the outside of Kirk going into Lesmo 2. He nearly had Sosa Ferreira in the play seat car as well. As our dry runners, we got cars all over the place. They're just trying to make it round. As Johnson, blimey, just keep an eye on this P12-13 fight between himself and Kirk. We've got Burlak sat in just behind as well. Goodness, the weather has played its hand, and it's goodness. And look at Kirk, what an exit from Ascari. Johnson stuck behind Sousa Ferreira in the play seat. We've got a few cars ahead of them. Now you have to remember your first lap racing speed into Parabolica. Brake early, it's better than going into the gravel. Oh, Johnson's
he's been
in
hit.
Kirk. Oh, my voice is hoarse.
It's going all over the place at the moment. Kirk's now stuck behind somebody in dry.
Goodness, Johnson and getting it all the way around there from Parabolica. It didn't quite work. Mebius is pitting. Goodness me.
Dries are now a liability.
Dries are a liability indeed. Sandeep Choda leads. As everyone is having issues, Yunt, he's run wide. He's taking the little escape road, taking the little chicane section there as Coxon gets through. Horrell goes through. The Cosmo boys, they are on P2 and P3. They're loving it. As we got Sandeep, who's currently still in the lead. He's got a 2-second gap back to the first of the Cosmo Autosport cars, but you got David Yunt. He's a championship contender in P4, so you have to keep an eye on that one. There's
McGlade trying to go up
McGlade.
for 6th. He's just about got it up to 6th. He's having another good race.
And Strawn is up to P5. He wants another double header of points in the podium positions. So we've had a
Guys
few
in the
guys.
dries, there's a few guys in dries that have still gone. They've not pitted. Who are we looking at? Peter Bralak's still going around on dries.
That's going to be a mistake. I'm sure he's going to rue. Oh, we've got a Cosmo off. Who was that? There was
It's Ben
Horrell.
Horrell.
Oh, drama.
Have a quick look. Looks like second Lesmo, he had a weird incident.
So drama and everything going off in this second race. We've now got Yunt right on the back of Coxon for P2 and P3. Choda is not running away with this either.
Oh,
so this
somebody on the
could...
grass there. Who was that? That looked like possibly... Oh, missed who that was. Oh, Eric Tesk is off.
Kirk has he's moved up into P9 for a second there. I thought he was missing his rear wing, then it was our factor just not loading his rear wing in, but he's now chasing down Olsen for P8. Well, I don't think you'll see much action down into Parabolica, but we'll have to keep an eye on this one. Oh, Kirk nicely on the brakes there. He's gained a whole chunk on Olsen, and look at that. He's discovered so much more momentum. Going through the midpoint of Parabolica there, he's going to have a good runner here, I'm sure, down past Olsen, down into turn 1, just completing lap 2, and McGlade has just set the fastest lap. Sandeep Choda's just... How
Diving down
many
the
people
inside
are
of
setting
Strawn.
purple laps?
That's McGlade getting 4th now. He's really moving up the grid.
Kirk up to P8. He's got that move signed, sealed, 11. No, he's left it too late, and Olsen's hit him. That could have been curtains, as we've now got 5 cars all jumbling over the apex rather clumsily through turn 1 there. Choda continues to lead from Coxon. We now have David Yunt, he's up to P3, and McGlade, he's in P4, so this evening going even better. He's fighting with Strawn over P5. Strawn, he's having to tuck back in. Let's see, can McGlade soak in the pressure that Strawn was dealing out earlier? We'll have to see as they're running down to Lesmo 1. I don't think he'll make a move this time around.
So it's got the rain's got a bit lighter, but it's still absolutely chucking it down. It's still definitely wet. However, we've got Peter Brolak currently in 16th, still going around on dries as Small Power guys in 18th and 19th. I think they're just hoping it's going to start drying up soon, and the dries will come to them.
There, the track is slowly starting to dry. I think it's just got to that tipping point where the rain is just not enough to keep it soaking. Of course, we've got 40 odd cars potentially. In fact, actually, that's wrong. 35 cars running around here, soaking up all this moisture. As Chody had a slight moment running out of Ascari there, just ran onto the gravel. He kept it together. Yunt up into P2. He's got past Coxon, so Yunt is on the warpath. This will do his championship challenge a whole world of good. He was our P2 driver, or second place in the constructors, I should say, coming into this round. Burlak's taken a whole race win worth of points, and he can get, and if Burlak doesn't progress in these changeable conditions, will be a big win for him. He's up to P2, and I'm sure his next target will be Choda, just a second up the road.
We've got a big fight in the last point positions, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, also close to each other, slipstreaming down the main straight. It's all 2 wide, 3 wide, it's all happening here. It's going to be interesting to see how it's going to be on turn 1. They are 3 wide going towards turn 1. Fadler, Ferreira and Osgo, who's going to be the last of the late breakers. Ooh, Osgo there cutting up Ferreira a little bit, but he's just going to make it, he's going to get tangled. Nope, they've all made it roughly round, and Eric Teske is making the move here, he's up to 12th.
Lovely stuff. We've got movement in between for P3, 4 and 5. We've Ben Horrell challenging Lewis McGlade. Strawn has been able to get a bit of a gap. Whoa. Real Rebic. Oh, McGlade, he's run out of road there. Horrell's going to lose out. Polaris benefits though. He's up to P4 after all that. Unfortunately, 2 into 1 don't go there. Yunt leads. He's got past Choda. Where's he gone? Choda. He's dropped all the way back to P7. He must have had a moment somewhere there. Oh, goodness gracious me. So Choda down to P7. Don't know quite what caused that, but Yunt now leads for THR. He's got a 3/10 gap back to Coxon in that Cosmo car, running very well. We got Strawn though. He's on the warpath. He's in P3.
Just having a quick look. It looks like he missed turn 1. Sandeep, he had to go through the exit road.
Indeed, you have to take that little chicane there. So we now have as our top 5, David Yunt leads as he's then chased down by Richard Coxon, Strawn, Polaris and Horrell make up our top 5. The gap between all of those just about 3 seconds, so still very close as we are rounding Parabolica. Lap 4 of 13. Choda apparently had a game 3, so that's why he's lost a load of time. As Johnson, as Coxon leads, what's happened to Strawn? What's happened to Yunt, sorry? Goodness me, Yunt has had some form of moment, and Coxon now leads for Cosmo. Down into turn 1 they go.
McGlade fighting Ben Horrell for 5th and 6th. He's just about holding 5th. He's going to force Ben Horrell the long way round, but he doesn't take it.
Here from cameraman extraordinaire, thank you very much, said that Yunt had a moment in Parabolica, ran wide. That's the lead to Coxon. We'll have to see if he can hold on to it. Strawn is making a move though. He's 1.3 off the lead. He'll be chasing down Yunt, and that might very well be a scrap which runs and runs. Gives Richard the opportunity to try and run away with the lead. Now got a fight between McGlade and Horrell. They're still going for P5 and 6. Horrell, nice line through there, but McGlade's got it covered as they now run down towards the Lesmos. James Kirky's having a good run. He's up to P8 as Fadler's under attack from Sousa Ferreira in the play seat. He's been done there. Burlak, he's moved up the order. He's up into P11.
So this is because Burlak's been on the move because it's now not raining anymore. It's now getting much drier, and the wets are now proving a bit of a problem for those on them. It's a really, nearly getting to a dryish line. It's very wet offline, but it's looking really good for Pets at the moment as he's up to 9th and he's on the move.
Look at that. So the track is drying with these cars going around like vacuum cleaners. It's definitely online, dry enough for slicks. If you can stay to that lovely ribbon of dried tarmac, you might be able to eat into these wet tyre drivers. So who knows, the gamble might just about have paid off. We've got a long way to go in this race. So Petter's going to have to be the one to watch as we've got a big old scrap now for the lead. We've got Coxon who still leads, but we've got plenty of cars close up behind. We've got Yunt on an inside line and Strawn is following on the wider line that Coxon's taken. Is Yunt's pitting? Yunt is pitting, so is Strawn. Have they noticed the dry line? Have they gone, right, we want some fresh boots? We'll have to wait and see. Pit time is going to be about 12 seconds. This is going to be our first racing pit stops of the year, I believe, for tyres, so it's going to be fascinating. Let's see. Drives for Yunt, we've got drives for Strawn. McGlade's trying to get in his pit box, which is just about blocked. He's now getting dry tyres and going to have a very awkward exit. We're going to have to see how quick the pit crews are. Yunt gets out first and Strawn, I think he might have stalled or something there. He definitely lose a bit of tyres. Petter Burlak has got up to 3rd. Thank you very much, cameraman extraordinaire, as I think that was Vandenbreck having to take the Mickey Mouse chicane. Coxon still leads. Horrell is in 2nd, but unfortunately I fear that Cosmo 1-2 will not last for much longer. Petter, he's really judged these conditions well. The track is effectively dry on line now. You can see that. Just if you get on that wet stuff, you're going to be in issues. So there you are. Burlak, he has judged this one amazingly well. And he's now going to be running through Lesmo 1 here, going into Lesmo 2. A little bit wide, but that's manageable. And we'll have to see what the gap is. It's 13 seconds over the start finish. But It was 15 last lap, but I can already see visually in eyesight following Burlak, you can see Horrell ahead, and that gap is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah,
so,
Fadler's really struggling now on wets, and he's coming in 8th place, and it's Drives behind him and just eating away at the gap. It's now going to be a question of those on wets. Do they hope it's going to rain a bit more during this race, or is it?
We'll have to wait and see. Certainly, it's a very brave, and if he wins it, sterling championship bit of decision making. And actually, oh wow, actually yes, cameraman extraordinaire. He's on the ball tonight. He's noticed that Salo was right up Burlak, and he's on dry tyres as well, so it could be a chance. And look at the closing speed on Horrell here. He's on those wet tyres. He's pitting in. Horrell is now going to, I'm sure, get himself a dry set of boots. As the lead will now change hand. Burlak takes the lead as Salo is now challenging for the lead in the Smile Power car. He's got his nose ahead into the braking zone. It's not really going to have enough trace for two dry lines. Ho ho! Just about make it. I don't think that dry line was wide enough for two cars, but they just about made it through. Salo continues to hold P2. You are 2 and 9, and in the THR, he's up to P3.
So those that managed to hold out on the drives of the first few laps are now kind of paying off nicely.
It is. Polaris retires, and as you can imagine, that's really shaken up our leaderboard of drivers here. Too much to cover, in fact. We only have, I think, one runner on wets, and he's retired, that being Polaris. So that's the end of that chapter for Polaris this time around, which is a great pity. Everyone now running on the dry tyre is definitely the tyre to be on at the right time, which is now.
So it looks like it's quite clear, so I don't see any more rain at the moment, but there's still, we've only literally just halfway through the race, so there's more than enough time for it to chuck it down.
Exactly, and the rain that we've been seeing in build-up in practice, it's been showers. It's come every 5 or so minutes, so we'll have to see if that is what we'll have again. This race was 20 minutes last time around, so you never know. We might get another shower towards the mid part of the race. We've got Burlak, he's now lapping Mason there. Mason nicely off the racing line, not impeding anyone. Good stuff to see. Burlak, he's got a 10th lead between the two Smile Power cars. And actually, let's mention this. Smile Power 1-2 all of a sudden. Oh, no, it's not. 2 and 9 has just taken that 3rd place. As they run down into Parabolica. So it's all to play for. But Oilala and Salo doing a great job for the Smile Power team.
And we've got 7th, 8th and 9th. 6th, 7th and 8th very close together. Sandeep in 6th, Jan 7th, Eric Strand 8th, and he's currently behind both of them as they go side by side. We're going to be 3 wide. Oh, it's going to be close. Strand's got the racing line, but it's going to be last of the late breakers here. Oh, Sandeep gave up rather early.
Oh, and Junt's gone on.
Junt's gone on, so Strand should get both those places rather nicely.
Indeed, and actually we can see there the time gap is just about right if you do miss the chicane. So yeah, I think that was just too many cars trying to contend for that one bit of dry tarmac. And of course, if no one's running onto that wet line, it's not going to get drier. So it's going to be dry line or nothing at all. And of course, if you run onto that wet track, you're going to be cooling your tyres down. We're just seeing from... Yep, cameraman extraordinaire has pointed out Toyka's had a moment. And it looks like Van der Wood is having to take the Mickey Mouse chicane as well. So that's...
So yeah, Toyka just lost it under braking going into turn 1. Spun round, managed to keep it going and lost a few places.
What an insane race we're having. Drivers moving up and down the grid everywhere. James Kirk, he's up into P12 having swapped tyres. We've also got Ollie Woods, he's running P13, which who's just gone off, that's unfortunate, but he's having a good run, so hopefully he'll be able to recover that. That's a good points-paying position for him there. The fight between Burlak and Salo, who's dropped off somewhat. It's up to 7/10, and 2 and 9 is apparently 7 seconds back from Salo. Goodness, okay, that's either a timing glitch or I'm losing my mind. I don't know where 7 seconds gone.
Sandeep in 7th was not overtaking Strand before Parabolica. It looks like he's trying to save it for the main straight and then kind of cut him off that way. But he was literally having to back off on Parabolica. A bit of a push slipstreaming going on here.
Indeed, shout out to the YTF1 Simracing team on Twitter, calling out this crazy wet race as well. As 2 and 9, he's making his way nicely through turns 1 and 2, trying to catch up to P2. Went
way too deep, and he's going to lose both places again, as did Mason by the looks of it, but he's being lapped.
Yeah, Mason being lapped, so he just took to that extra bit of tarmac there just to avoid any dramas. As we've got a car stuck in Parabolica, I think that's someone retiring, unfortunately. We'll have to see who that was.
Ollie Woods as well went off at Parabolica, it looks like it. And
oh, good to curse the commentator going on, never good. Never good.
As was Bruno's Ferrer.
Oh dear, so the place driver not having a good run either. So, but we now have a fight developing for between P5, 6, 7 and 8. That being Strawn, Troda and Yunt, all fighting for some points. Of Strawn, wow, mega exit out of Lesmo too. This is going to be, I think, a done deal into Ascari. He's already ahead of Schroten as they're going under the old track. Up the hill. Who's going to be latest on the brakes? Ooh, it's probably about even given the wetness on track. Strawn keeps it there.
Schroten went wide. He's going to lose place to Chodra there.
If
he's now going to lose a place. He's trying to go for one. He's going to lose two here. It's Chodra and Yunt to go around him.
Yep, that's well and truly his pack shuffled. Lucky that contact there with Choda didn't spin Choda around, because that could have been a real disaster. Going that speed through there, that's going to be very quickly into a wall and probably going to be losing a wheel. Thankfully, everyone running, just unlucky from Schroten there, not quite making that move work.
So, Peter Braddock pulling away from Rasmus Salo at the moment, who's then himself got an 8-second gap to Tuinainen. So, it's quite big gaps at the front there. It's be interesting to keep an eye on the weather.
Is indeed, and it's going to be perhaps going to be the talking point. I'm sure this second race is the weather and the amazing hand that is dealt. We're on lap 10 of 13, it's not far to go now. As we're saying, got Burlak, he's well and truly...
Coxon pits again. So Coxon in 16th. He's lost his front wing. Where he lost that.
Oh, that's a pity.
So he lost it at Parabolica, so not too bad, but obviously he's going to lose all the time in the pits.
Oh dear. Oh, we're just hearing that Ben Horrell, he's just had a moment. He's recovering to a degree. In fact, actually, he might be able to recover his places there. Not sure if that's strictly speaking legal, but yeah, so he's recovered that. He's now fighting with Oscar and Toika. This is a fight for P12, 13 and 14. Oscar, he's out on the long side into this second chicane. Oscar, lovely move on the brakes there. Track getting drier all the time. Nowhere near as wet as it was at the start of the race. So lovely move from Oscar. He's up into P12.
So Tommy Ojala and Strawn in 4th and 5th still fighting each other, and it looks like they're possibly Pestovs. I was about to say it looks like they're catching Tuinainen, but he's still a couple of seconds up the road.
Is indeed, and that gap, that's materialised from somewhere. I can't recall the gap being ever that large. That just happened, I'm sure. But Oyala and Strawn, little love nudge into Parabolica from Strawn and Oyala, going, oh, he's got a bit quicker. I would like to pass you now. And he's got up the inside, front wheel, rear wheel aligned. We've now got Simon Smith, a back marker. He's going to provide a nice handy slipstream for Oyala as they're now running down towards the start-finish. I think this is going to be who's going to be bravest on the brakes. I don't think there's really an opportunity for anyone, and wisely everyone decides, right, let's go single file through here. We'll have another go next time round.
So yeah, it's interesting. It's probably going to be 3 wide again, because already they're kind of getting a nice slipstream off them each other. So which way is Toika going to go? And Horrell's gone right, and he's saying, right, I'm having the inside for turn 1. At the outside for turn 2. Toika's getting squashed possibly in the middle here. It's a bit of an issue. Looks like it's going to be okay. Is he going to try and blitz down that gap? No. Oscar's latest on the brakes. Was he locked up? No, he's handled it nicely.
Strawn made a nice move on Oyala for P4, but unfortunately Oyala got that cut back, and he's got ahead before Lesmo. Whoa! Strawn's got a really nice run. He's not going to have to now defend from Chodo, who spies an opportunity. But Oyala, he's run wide into Lesmo too, and that's going to be punishing. I think Yunt will also pass him if he can get in the slipstream nice and early. What a pity, slight error. We were mentioning this earlier. You've got to get your exits right. Just went a little wide. And that's the penalty. He's lost 2 places. He might lose a 3rd.
Gained 1 back nicely, but he's going to be slow round the Scari. He's going to be able to hold it. Looks like he's got it.
Yeah, brave on the brakes, and all you have to do there is just place your car in such a way that your opposition behind you can't really accelerate. The only problem now is you've got this long straight to have to defend along against. So Oyala really in the wars. Strawn, though, the beneficiary. He's up to P4, and he's already got quite the gap, about a 2/10 gap off one corner. Choda, he's trying around the outside. That's going to be brave. Just about hangs it on in there. I think there's quite a few lines through there, so the track nice and dry through Parabolica. He continues to run around now in P7.
Again, they're going to be fighting each other on the straight. Go towards turn 1. Troja's gone right, Ajala in the middle, and it's Yunt on the left. He's got the best racing line, but last of the late breakers, it's Yunt and Ajala. Yunt has to really pull right out of it. Is Sandeep going to get a good exit? Turn 2 towards Curva Grande. Doesn't look like it.
Not indeed. A nice move from Oyala as we're on to 2 laps to go now. Burlak continues to lead. Gap up to 3 seconds, although not radically increasing. Salo holding a good 2nd place there. And Tuinainen, he's holding on to 3rd place. I think he's just focusing on getting the car home and not making mistakes. If he makes a mistake, there's a big old group of cars who wants that podium place from him. Chiefly among being Strawn, who's catching actually a little bit through the 1st sector. So it's going to be a close one for 3rd place potentially. as we have just a few more laps to complete here. Just keeping an eye on other fights up and down the grid. Actually, our closest fight, is goodness gracious me, is for 7th, 6th and 5th place. We've got Yunt now. He's at the lead of this little scrap. Oyala is behind, and we've got Choda. He's having a look. Oyala pulling out nice and early for a move into Ascari. Oh, it looks pretty even to me. Oh, there's a touch. Oh, and Yunt's off. Oh dear, he might be able to recover. He's going to lose so much momentum. He might actually be vulnerable to Mike Stroke behind him. Choda's the big beneficiary there, though. He's been able to get through almost unaffected. He's trying to get up that inside. There's not enough room, Sandy. It's going to be a bit close. You're going to have to be brave. He's on the cross. Oh, all sorts of contact. Oh, you can't be doing that.
They can't do that.
That's going to be a bit suspect. They're both going to cost each other momentum there. And look at Yunt. He's gone, oh, thank you very much, lads. I'll have a bit of this. Oyala, he's going to take the normal racing line. Sandy, he's got the slipstream, though, from Oyala. Yunt's going to have to think wisely about what he's going to do here. The dry line is expanding all the time. There might be an overtaking opportunity. Not this time round, though. Final lap of the race. It's all been go. Our leader still is Petter Burlak. We'll have to keep on the other fights as we go along. But goodness gracious me, the weather, and it's raining. We've got spits of rain again, so it's probably not going to make a grand scheme of difference here, but who gives a monkeys? We've got more rain to liven things up as we go around the lap for the final time. Goodness gracious me.
So Sandeep's not exactly bathing himself in glory, but Ajala there was definitely weaving a little bit in the kind of braking zone. It wasn't the best bit in the world. They're both kind of losing a little bit, but Yunt's right on the back of both of them and fancies getting up into the top 5.
Yep. And as all that is going on, the skies are getting greyer all during all this. Burlak, though, is leaving Ascari for the final time this evening, running down the back straight towards Parabolica for the final time. And yet again, he's going to take, unless there's some sort of cruel twist of fate, another double-header, a win in the first and second races with a sublime strategy call to stay on the dry tyres when it looked like the wets were the ones to have. Petter Burlak, he does it again. He did it in Spa. He's done it here now. Seals out the European season with a second win. So congratulations to Petter. Superb stuff. Rasmus Salo, he comes home in second and go to a 9.
Sandeep is just going around the outside of Ajala there. Is he going to be able to hold it going towards the finish line? Yunt's going to be ready to pick up any of the pieces. Ajala's trying to go around the outside. I don't think he's going to get it back in time before they go past the start-finish line. No, talking basically under a 10th.
Wow, very close between that group. But as our drivers now coming up to finish the race, the rain continues to pour. I think that's just at the right time for some of these guys. There's some real elbows out stuff. We'll have to wait for our final few points finishes to come across the line. But let's just recap on who has finished so far. Winning in superb style is Petter Burlak. He's followed home by Rasmus Salo. Coming home on the final podium position is Joa Tuinainen in the THR. He's followed home by another great result there for Eric Strand. Sandeep Choda, as we saw, fighting tooth and nail for that 5th place. He's followed by Tommy Oyala and David Yunt in the second THR. Mike Schroten comes home in 8th place for Racing Team Schroten. Then we have Terence Gretsch, always been in the top 10 in that second race. He comes home in 9th for Katana. Lewis McGlade, another great result there. He comes home P10. James Kirk finishes in P11. He's followed by the first of the Cosmos, Ben Horrell. Unfortunately, just a little bit unlucky with the tyre call there. Then we have Timu Toika, Eric Tesk, and Alexander van der Wood after drama on the first start with his traction, or with his launch control. He comes home P15 for the final points place.
You got a fair moment for Thomas Hinds there. Starting on just to see it absolutely chuck it down while he's on his drive doing his outlap. Sadly finished in 22nd, way out the points. But you know it feels so bad because he the guy on board really had to check dries and that just got wetter and wetter as he did his outlap.
To be fair though, goodness, I think if I was sat in his seat there, I would do the exact same thing. I would not have gambled any further. I would have got wet tyres myself. But goodness me, what a good call from Petter. I think he was just there and he thought, right, well, it's the second race. I may as well hang it out here and who knows what will happen. So good call there from Petter. He's come home with another win and, well deserved as well. First of all, what amazing races we've had there. Goodness, I'm just trying to think back over what all the fantastic moves we've seen today, all the amazing strategy calls. There's so much to talk about.
Well, obviously got Petter starting. He was in the top 20. I think it was 19th. He would have started in that race. 19th to first. Like I said, he was not really making any moves. He was up to 16th by the start, and everybody ahead of him were wet. So I was just thinking, mate, you need to pit now. Look at the weather. But he managed to kind of keep it going, kept it on the grey stuff, and he got rewarded as it started getting drier and drier. It was quite sudden, actually. Like I said, these cars can really pick up the water. He was able to just kind of keep behind those guys and then go for it as soon as those wets wore off.
Yep, it was quite something to see that sudden transformation of the track in a very short time. But well, several of our drivers called that right. And joining us now in the commentary booth for some interviews and things, we have two drivers who did particularly well over two what can only be described as very hectic races. We have joining us at the moment Eric Strawn and Lewis McGlade. First of all, Eric, congratulations. Some great results there. And first of all, I want to say thank you for easily the best race so far of the Formula Challenge season. That race one was breathless from start to finish. Talk us through that amazing battle you had with Petter and Duvet.
What do you do against two walk cars? I tried just keeping up as much as possible, and I was doing for quite a few laps. But then I made a tiny little mistake. Got on the anti-cuts and lost momentum, and then lost the gap to Peter Verlac, and he was gone. Nothing I could do. Then I had to try to fight off Davlar, which almost worked, but yeah. Oh well. Third was pretty nice. I was kind of hoping that they made a bit of contact here and there, so I was rather hoping they would take each other up, but they're too good for that.
Well, you never know with these things. Just a bit of contact somewhere along the line, and you can always benefit pretty highly. And well, no need for any of that though, because joining us as well is Lewis McGlade. He had a great race one coming home in P4, and also a pretty solid race two there. Lewis, talk us through your evening.
Yeah, I mean, when I was doing the practice beforehand, because I didn't really do that much practice for this event, but I was hearing some times from other people, and I was like, "Is that really race pace?" And so, I was pretty confident because it was a lot lower than what higher times than I expected. So, yeah, I had a lot of confidence. And then in the qualifying session, I had a lot of help from Strana, which as Eric, you've told me to say. Thank you for the qualifying lap, as he's basically just sat in front of me. And when P2 arrived on the timer, I was like, "Oh wow, all right." Obviously, jumped back to fourth later on in the session, but yeah, the race I was really nervous. Didn't want to throw away a result like I feel like I did at Monaco. But he kept cool and saw all that battle going on in front. It looked pretty hectic, but I just couldn't catch up. I didn't have the pace. And race two, I think the rain and the mixed conditions for me, never really a good mix. Had a good battle with Strana in the first few laps. Got knocked around a bit by a couple of other drivers, but albeit mixed conditions pretty difficult, but a lot of fun.
When you were on the grid at the start of the race too, and you could see it chucking down, I can't actually remember what tyres you guys started for. What was going through your mind at the start of Eric?
I just saw it get wetter and wetter, so I thought, "Oh, wet, here we go." And then I saw a bunch of people on sticks. So I was like, "So long!" And then that came back to bite me because Peter ended up winning. So I was rather hoping it would keep raining, but that's not what happened.
What about you, Lewis?
I sat in the garage for a lot of the start because I was waiting. It was sitting at 17%, and I was just seeing if it was going to go up or down. Because I remember Monza last season did pretty much the same thing. It started wet and just gradually got dry towards the end of the race, but I saw it go up in percentage. So I was like, "Ugh, you've got to chuck on the wet." So I didn't up my pressures or anything like that. So I was kind of, this is not how I'd driven the car normally in the wet, but it seemed fine. It's just it was just later on in the race. Starting on the slicks was probably the right call. It didn't seem like the right one at the time.
Well, myself and Matthew were kind of discussing at the start. Well, at the end of the race, there we would have done the same thing and started on wets. It looked too high for it to ever really decrease over time. And yeah, as it started during the outlap, just got wetter and wetter. And we agreed that it was wets were the ones to start with, and somehow Petter at the start of that second race managed to hold it all together.
Yep, I think just keeping those dry tyres somehow nice and hot, and it really paid dividends for him there. And well, that's going to have done his championship quest a load of good. Eric Lewis, obviously, since you're here, we're running towards the end of our season now. We've got the flyaway races. We'll be going to Circuit of the Americas over in Austin, Texas next. Any tracks you're thinking of? Oh, okay, this could be a potential opportunity to get some more great results, or are you just going to take it one at a time?
I'll go first.
Yeah, you go first.
I'm just going to take them one time. I know I'm going to miss quite a few events at the end. I'm not even sure which ones I'm gonna miss. But I'm just gonna take it one at a time and see where we end up.
Yeah, for me, Monza, I don't know. I've been kind of very inconsistent with tracks. Whether I've been good at them, I was faster than I showed at Hockenheim, but I kind of threw results away there in qualifying. But the circuits coming up, I'm not really too sure which I'm good at. I think I should be okay at Abu Dhabi. But for that round and the final 3 rounds, I'm moving team to go and assist a friend. So yeah, I'm going to be in a different livery there. Hopefully that won't affect things. But I don't know. I'm taking it round by round and seeing where I can end up in the championship.
Oh, very good, very good. Well, again, gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Congratulations on scoring significant points in 2 absolutely insane races. Bask in the limelight. I think that one's going to live in the memory, at least my memory, for some time. So congratulations again, and thank you for joining us. Right, so two really mad and hectic races there. As I was saying a second ago, we're starting to look towards the end of the season. We've got the flyways, we've got tracks like Circuit of the Americas, Abu Dhabi, Interlagos, Suzuka to look forward to. And we could potentially have more mixed up grids with more amazing weather. And, well, we've seen it in the past. In real life, these tracks have given us some amazing races. Phil, I mean, we're approaching the end of the season now. We've seen an awful lot of amazing racing. But do you think it could honestly top tonight?
I think it's going to be rather difficult. I mean, we look at Austin next. We know the weather can be a bit iffy round there. It's a track I really enjoy. Could it top it? I don't see why not. I think it's going to be difficult, definitely, but I think we're on for some cracking final 4 races.
Absolutely, and that's the beauty of Formula Challenge. You never really know what's going to happen next, except that it's going to be entertaining and then some. Anyway, Phil, any closing thoughts before we wind up tonight?
I think we've seen Petter really kind of put down the marker for his championship challenge, especially like I said, we've got just 8 races, four tracks left to go to. I think it's going to be real difficult now to beat this guy. He really seems to be on the move and he's calling the right decisions.
Absolutely, and it all helps in the long old scheme of things, which is the championship. Anyway, Petter, he certainly has made a mark tonight. 2 sterling races, honestly. Even without rain in the first one, it was superb to watch, and I hope that you've enjoyed it. And if this kind of thing looks at all interesting and you want to have a go at it yourself, as I've said earlier, feel free to go on over to gpvwc.com. We've got open wheel, we've got tin top, we've got all sorts. We've got the Masters, which is a variety of everything. You can sign on up and find out more and take part yourself, and I well and truly recommend that you do that. Yeah, I think with that, we've got obviously 2 more broadcasts this week. We've got Super Cup and Super League to look forward to, and I'm sure those races are going to be a treat as well. So with that, I thank Mr. Morby there for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
And thank you from myself for joining us. So I've been Matthew Chuggy Churgwin, and I'll see you next time out on the racetrack.